So far, the crew has cleared every hurdle naysayers have placed in their way. Columbus would be home to one of the 10 inaugural teams. Columbus has outperformed much larger cities. The true success indicator has been...
Katie, welcome to the club.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
So before we get in to it and talk about this weekend's game and everything else, why don't you tell
Happy birthday?
Yeah. Well, and you can talk about that too. Katie told us before we jumped on here that it was her birthday this weekend. She just got done camping. But before that, I want you to tell us about Mecklenburg Massive, what it is, the history of that.
Yeah, absolutely. So to give a little bit of backstory, I born in Columbus, Ohio, but moved down to North Carolina at about age 3. But just like a lot of Ohioans, we think it's too cold. We head south, and that's how my parents felt. But growing up, what my brother and sister and I, how we bonded was the Columbus crew. So since '96, it's always been the crew. Played soccer all growing up as well. So big just soccer supporter in general. So Mecklenburg Massive started, maybe the day after the infamous tweet by Grant Wall that the crew were going to be moved or potentially moved to Austin. So that's really when I was here in Charlotte, and that's when, hey, there's a lot of Ohioans down in Charlotte. Let's start something here from a distance. Now, I'll say when I started it, I thought it'd kind of just be more of a Twitter front, and then Charlotte got a team. So it's kind of a go big or go home for me. We're going to have a massive tailgate. We're not going to do anything small. So, yeah.
That's awesome. You started when you heard that they were going to be moved?
Yeah. The Mecklenburg Massive started.
I only got to do it for like a year, so I guess I'll
yeah,
give it a shot.
exactly.
It's like when they saved the team, you're like,
oh.
Well, there was a definite like call to action there, right? I mean, I think that if you're going to get involved, I mean, so what was your approach then? I mean, it sounds like it wasn't just hey, let's start a supporter section or supporters subgroup in Charlotte. I mean, you must have been, getting involved in some capacity.
Yeah,
right?
absolutely. So definitely had the Save the Crew banners out there was a college game day here in Charlotte, brought it to a Panthers game, tried to get some TV time. Don't know if I made it or not, but, it realized at that point, that this was a family more than it was just a club. And so I was going to do as much as I could do and as much as bringing community together to try to save the crew.
Yeah. So your affiliation with the crew before that and just growing up, watching games with your siblings, was that just always on TV? Did you make trips up? What was that like?
Yeah, my brother went to Ohio State for grad school, so I was able to come up and go to a lot of games. Probably over the past, 10 years plus. Growing up, it was more on TV from a distance. But yeah, my brother and sister and I we were at the MLS Cup final when the ball was way out of bounds, standing right there.
Definitely.
So we've had the hard times, but we've also had the amazing times together.
Yeah. Okay, so I lived in Nashville for a few years. I now live in Chicago for a few years, and like in both towns, they're both about 6 hours from Columbus. Charlotte's give or take the same, and I see Ohio State gear all over the place, and both of those cities. Not as much crew gear, but when I wear mine, everybody recognize, all the Columbus people recognize and strike up conversations. What's the Columbus and maybe crew specific community like in Charlotte?
Yeah, I mean, I think you hit the nail on the head that I think there's probably like 10 Ohio State football bars. There's tons of
Right.
Browns bars.
Right.
Like, we are everywhere as a people of Ohio.
Yeah.
I think that similar thing. If I'm wearing my crew gear, folks will talk to me about it. Hey, I'm from Ohio. I lived in Columbus. But when I'm wearing my crew gear, it's also, hey, I'm a Charlotte FC fan. I'm an Atlanta fan. I'm a Philly fan that lives here now. And you kind of nerd out when someone else likes MLS. You kind of nerd out with them. Totally. Hey, I found my people.
Yeah, unless they're like Austin, you're like,
yeah.
I don't get
exactly.
What are you doing?
I'm not sure that the Austin fans are not just manufactured anyway.
Yeah, I
don't think there's a high risk there, but
it's a robot. You're like, get out of here, robot.
It's AI.
No, but I think you're right. Like, MLS is still kind of small enough where even cross teams is like, it's still kind of part of the family. We're all supporting the same thing. So then specifically, you mentioned the tailgate. Charlotte's had a team now. Is this the second year?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
And we all know the infamous rain out last year. Like, what was do you want to talk about the tailgate last year? Is it worth going through?
Yeah,
go ahead, start there, and then we'll talk about what you have planned.
Yeah, give a little backstory. I mean, to start, it was at the end of July, like the worst heat, terrible humidity. And so what happens in every afternoon in North Carolina when it's that bad is there are a lot of storms. And so before we get to the rain delay, we had a fantastic group of folks. A lot came down from Columbus, a lot came up from different cities and all around. And I think we sold over 100 tickets in the crew section. It was a yellow out, which this year will be as well, because for some reason the yellow kit against those whatever blue color Charlotte wears looks absolutely fantastic.
Yeah, that's true.
And we just had
kind of looks like Ben's jersey right now.
Exactly.
It kind of looks like the 4 Columbus jersey. It's like it's okay.
Yeah. Everyone's favorite, right?
Yeah, right. Yeah. Sorry to interrupt. Go ahead.
And we had probably 80 plus people at tailgate, just trying to bring people together. We had custom koozies last year. We have custom koozies again this year when we get into what the tailgate's going to be this year. I'll give you maybe a sneak peek. We'll see. But had a march to the match. Everything was going great. And then the storms just rolled in. We were sitting in the concourse for many hours.
Yeah. Then they kept nudging it, right? Yes. It wasn't like we're calling it. It was like, we'll wait an hour. Yeah.
I remember trying to watch it, and I was waiting for so long. I was like,
your struggle doesn't compare, Ben.
Don't try. This is no comparison.
Me too, guys. Me too. Anyway,
I was on my couch.
I had to keep refreshing.
Yeah, I was in the bath. It was fine.
But yeah, unfortunately, we waited and waited. The match kicked off, and about 16 minutes later, it was called again. So kind of disappointing for a lot of the fans that made the trip, but I think we had a great time pre-match, had a great time in the concourse. I know that concourse in and out by this point, if anyone wants any tips after this,
Yeah.
Know all the beer spots.
It is one of those things that creates a story.
Oh yeah.
That's the game you will never forget that game. I had the same thing. I think David Beckham was going to come here with the Galaxy, and it was like a lightning strike with and it was delayed, and I think it got canceled in the end too, just standing around. But I remember exactly that game.
Yeah.
Makes it unique.
Yeah.
And then when the game started back up, the infamous Zell goal.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, so was that like a whole other party, right? That was like at the tail end of it. They like squeezed it in.
It was a midweek match, like mid-October. Yeah. And yeah, so we I would say we had a smaller crew showing, but that goal was pretty great. So
we won that game, right? And Charlotte was in the
No, we tied. I will say
we tied. Right. Oh, right.
Yeah,
Come
yeah.
on,
it was last season.
Because Charlotte was in the mix, and Cincinnati and Orlando, and there's like lots of jockeying there. I should have known it was a tie. That was stupid. We won one of them.
Yeah, we only did one thing.
So we went up 2-0, and I told all the Charlotte fans around us. I said, "Don't worry, guys. We're gonna go up 2-0, and you guys are gonna come back and tie us. I promise you."
Yeah.
And then, Charlotte scored to come back. It's 2-1. And they're like, "You promise me?" I'm like, "Don't worry. It's going to happen because this is the story of our season." So hopefully this year will be better. So far it has been.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, we did an opposite Porter.
Yeah,
weekend,
exactly.
So that's great.
Yeah.
Feels
Absolutely.
good.
Yes.
Yeah. So, so then what do you have planned for this year?
Yeah.
And how can folks who might be attending the game get involved or, get information?
Yeah, absolutely. So, I like to throw, and we like to throw a giant tailgate. And so, why not have a theme this year? And so last year we got knocked down, but this year we get up again. So why not Chumbawamba's classic tub thumping?
Yes.
So that is the
90s,
theme
right?
of the tailgate.
Yeah,
Yeah, 90s.
Yeah.
Perfect with
Yeah,
last weekend or this past
yeah,
weekend.
leading right in. Yes. Yeah, I'm gonna look that up.
This whole year should just be 90s. Just across the board. Like, sweet, great.
97.
Yeah, Ben, that's what we referenced 2 weeks ago with Matan.
Oh,
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's right. That's right. Okay. All right. So go on.
Yeah. So, we'll this tailgate, this match, we're hoping to sing the songs that remind us of the good times, sing the songs that remind us of the better times. The tailgate will include a whiskey drink, a vodka drink, a lager drink, a cider drink. We're going all in.
That's awesome.
There'll be
All the drinks.
Yeah, all the drinks. There'll be DJs. There'll be
Awesome.
just a good time. Bojangles, barbecue, you name it. I think we'll have it.
Bojangles.
Fingers crossed this year. We actually get to watch the match. But yeah, like I said, it's a yellow out. So if you're coming to the game, wear yellow, be bright, be massive. We Mecklenburg Massive. We have all of our details on our Twitter site. So at mmassive96, and we put all the location of the tailgate and the night before party and all that on there.
Okay. Awesome. Well, so before we let you go, how do you stay involved beyond, just, coordinating the Charlotte event and watching the games? I mean, you're kind of involved with Nordeca too, right?
Yeah. So, I mean, it's a community, right? So the crew, we're on Twitter. We're for better or for worse. We're
definitely on Twitter. Yeah, no one has been like, I'm not on Twitter. Everyone's like, no, we're on Twitter.
We're on Twitter. We're strong on Twitter. We always try to get up to some games. We have some local watch parties. But you know what? It's just the community over the years that myself and others here have built with folks that live everywhere, right? I mean, one of my favorite, text message chain is with probably seven crew fans, and man, that thing just lights up during matches. So, it's all about the communities. I found that, MLS initially was kind of where all of us weirdos found each other. And so I feel like that's especially true, and it's an accepting place, especially the crew community. And just try to get to matches and host any away fans or crew fans for the away day in Charlotte.
Awesome. Okay, well that sounds good. And we'll definitely try and get down there for a game sometime. And if you're ever in Columbus, hit us up.
All right, sounds good. Thank you, guys.
Okay.
Quick question before we go: is Mecklenburg slang for Charlotte?
It is the county that Charlotte sits in. So it's Queen Charlotte of Mecklenburg, and that's how the city and the county got its.
Another one of them Queen cities.
Queen City.
Yeah, but
I remember that.
But that's not why it's the Queen City, though,
Yeah,
is it?
that's why it's the Queen City.
It
Yeah.
is. Okay.
Yeah, the Queen of the United
It
States.
was actually the original Queen City. Like actually, since he
Okay.
was much later, just because it was the second biggest city in Buffalo, because it was
Yeah.
the second biggest city.
Right.
But
that's what I'm
But
familiar
I thought
with.
Toronto was the Queen City. I'm so confused, guys. This is a silly country.
Yeah, I think that's South America.
Oh, Canada is maybe not the same country. But I could be wrong.
What do you know about
It's probably just
international
another
things?
state.
Yeah. All right. Sounds good. Well, thanks again for making time to chat with us, and we look forward to notching a real life win there in Charlotte this weekend, April 22nd. So thanks again, Katie, and go Crew.
Go Crew. Thank you, guys.
Crew.
Thanks everyone for joining the club. We hope you'll listen next week and every week, even in the off season, to celebrate or commiserate. We'll save you a seat. If you like this podcast, please give us 5 stars and subscribe. You can email us at upper90clubpod@gmail.com. That's upper90clubpod@gmail.com. Follow us on Twitter and Instagram at upper90clubpod. Go Crew!